Oh, it's a Merv Hughes thing. Australian tradition, what's the problem? Now, there is a set of national guidelines that is supposed to offer the best protection for our kids in the event of a car accident. But could Aussie standards actually be falling behind the rest of the world?
The impact of a 100km/h crash is devastating, both on the car and those inside.
Particularly when you're travelling at speeds of 100 kilometres an hour or more, the sort of crash forces are going to be on your body are going to be intense, and your chances of survivability are very, very limited, and it really is in the lap of the gods as to whether or not you'll make it out okay or not.
For the youngest passengers in a car, there are national guidelines that state any infant under 6 months must be in a rear-facing child restraint. Over the age of 6 months, parents can choose a forward or rear-facing restraint. But for New South Wales mother of 4, Angela Brown, a life-shattering high-speed crash in February has left her questioning the national standards.
We're coming back from a dentist appointment back to Mudgee, and I was asleep in the car, and when I woke up we were rolling, and then I kind of just figured out they were in a car crash.
Angela's daughters were both in child restraints. Her youngest, 1-year-old Amelia, was rear-facing, while the other, 2-year-old Summer, was in a forward-facing car seat.
We didn't know she had a broken neck at the time. We didn't find that out until we were in hospital, but she'd broken her C2, her C3, and done her ligaments on her C1. I think that she would have been safer rearward-facing.
Around the world, car child restraint laws do vary. In the UK, a child must be in a rear-facing restraint until they're 15 months old or weigh more than 13 kilos. In the US, babies aged 0 to 12 months should face the rear, with strong recommendations to keep them rear-facing until 3 years.
A rearward-facing seat's going to be safer for certainly an infant all the way through to a young child, simply because it offers better head protection. It restricts the head's ability to move forward, which is where obviously a lot of those serious injuries can occur.
Since the accident, Angela has taken to social media to share her story and convince other parents to use rear-facing seats for as long as possible.
I would really like just to be able to help other families not have to go through it.
So for some more expert advice, we turn to Jason Chambers from KidSafe. Jason, the national standards say that you should keep your kids rear-facing until 6 months. You guys say longer. How much longer?
That's right. KidSafe's recommendation is to leave your child in their current restraint until they actually no longer fit the size limit of that restraint. So not just changing them over because they've reached a certain age, actually waiting until they actually physically outgrow the size of the restraint they're in.
Right, so that depends on the size of the restraint. Should we be shopping for restraints that will hold bigger kids?
That's right. It's something really important for parents and carers to look out for when they're purchasing their restraint, is having a restraint that will allow them to keep their children in there up until a reasonable height. So having a look, for example, with rearward facing, some only allow to 9 months, some allow to 12 months, or there's some new ones which allow to 2 to 3 years.
So, Jace, do you support the idea that, you know, our national standards should be tightened up?
I think the main thing that we promote to parents and carers is that for all stages through while kids are in their car seats is to always keep them in for as long as possible. So to always wait until they have outgrown those height limits before you move them up to use the next stage of restraint.
Jason, I find at the schoolyard there's still a little bit of confusion, like how long do we keep them in the seats? Is there a resource that all parents can go to check, you know, where their kids should be and what sort of car seats they should be in?
That's right. Parents and carers can access our national child restraint guidelines. If you go and visit kidsafe.com.au, there's some really clear explanations on there of what seats children should be using based on their age and their size as well, which make it really easy for parents and carers to choose.
Jason, how old should the kids be before they start jumping in the front seat?
Well, KidSafe's recommendation is that children don't sit in the front seat until they're over 12 years of age. The stats show that they're much more likely to be injured if they're in the front seat. I know that's a really difficult one because as soon as you get the kids out of the booster seat, the first thing they want to do is jump in the front and sit up in the big adult seat. So, yeah, that's another really important focus as well.
Jason, thanks so much for your wisdom.
Thank you.
KidSafe are doing a great job. I'm an ambassador for KidSafe. My sister's the CEO of KidSafe South Australia. It's astounding to how many deaths there are in Australia with kids on the roads with restraints, also driveway deaths. Yeah. I mean, this is the stuff that we don't really know about. And their website, it's up on our links page now, but you can go check it all out there. There's a lot of really important information that these guys are giving you to save your child.
And you'll also find the child restraint guidelines on our website as well if you'd like to see it.